Hey, I'm Gav from GavTakesPhotos.com, and this is the review of the Yongnuo 35mm f2 DSM for Sony E-mount. Let's take a closer look. So I decided to take this out and take it in the real world and actually have a go at using the lens. I don't have any of these charts that you take photos of and see the quality outputs and whatnot, but I really wanted to get to know this lens and know how it reacts to real world situations. So that's what we're going to do now. I hope you enjoy and I'll see you afterwards for the verdict. Alright, so the problem with doing the landscape portion of this video is that we are currently in lockdown, being that this is being shot in February 2021, which kind of limits where I can go. There's a few local places I've got in mind, and one of them is here at Dobbs Weir. So we'll be shooting a couple of shots here. I'm going to be testing out the Yongnuo 35mm lens and seeing what I can get here. I'm going to go for some smooth water, and there's a swan here, so maybe we'll see what we can do with the swan, but hopefully we can get something. Alright, let's go search for a composition, shall we? So I found my composition. It's the same as the last time I was here at Dobbs Weir. The difference being that the sun is actually a lot lower in the sky, so it's making it a much higher contrast scene. So we're going to be doing a bracketed shot. We're going to be doing one exposure for the sky, and I'll be bumping it up for the water. So let's see how well this lens can handle shooting directly into the sun, shall we? Now I've got my two shots I'm going to be blending in post. I'm going to go for something a little bit different. So I'm going to slap an ND filter on the end of the lens. I'm going to make a nice smooth water effect using a longer shutter speed and possibly a higher f-stop. This one only goes down to f16. So I'm going to try and use that in conjunction with the ND filter to get the shutter speed desired, but I should be able to do it. Always clean your filters. Now, again, because of the high contrast scene, I will be shooting a bracketed shot. One for the sky, one for the water. Now with the variable ND from K&F Concept on. Let's see how this turns out, shall we? So, one for the sky, f8 ISO 100 at 1/50th of a second for the sky. Push that. And that's that one done. So next one, we are going to be stopping this down f16 all the way. Now I know that's going to be causing some diffraction, but quite frankly I don't actually want clarity and sharpness in the water. I want the water to be blurry, so this is going to work in my favour. Okay, now the maximum I can do with this setup, let's try to stop this down a little bit more. Don't want to get that X pattern in front of the filter. Yeah, I mean, the most I can realistically get out of this, because of the sun being where it is 1.3 seconds. So let's do that and blend it in post. I mean, it's still going to have a nice smooth water effect. So perfect. Alright, so now you've seen the blended exposure, I'm going to be heading off to another location just down the road from here. Again, because of lockdown, I can't really get to everywhere I wanted to get to. but I'm going to make the best of what's local. So for this composition, what I've done is I've lined up a couple of the rocks in the foreground, and it's leading off to this concrete V over there. Now I've stuck my variable ND on there again, and I'm gonna try and get a nice silky water thing. Now you'll notice I really like silky water. I just do. So we are at f10, ISO 100, and the shutter speed of half a second. Now I have manually focused on the closest rock, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a focus stack to try and get as much in focus as I can. I think this lens is going to do fine. I haven't seen too much focus breathing from it, so there shouldn't be too much of an issue aligning it in Affinity Photo later, but we will see. And I really hope it it all works well. This really cool composition behind me. The sun was out just now and it was lighting up the shadows, so they all sort of pointed towards the center of the trees behind me, and I caught it just in time before the sun hid behind the clouds again. So I'm actually happy about that one. It's probably not going to be any good, but I'm happy about it, and that's something for a woodland shot for me. So we're back out here for the last picture in the landscape test I'm going to be doing with the Yongnuo 35mm. What we have is we've got the sun rising. It's a nice frosty morning, there's a bit of mist, and we're trying to single out this tree and maybe get a bit of a sun star, but a bit touch and go with that one. We'll see what happens. So, as it stands at the moment, settings are f16, ISO 100 and 1/50th of a second, with a delay of 5 seconds just so I don't get any camera shake. Not that it should be, because it's a really lightweight lens, so that's looking pretty good. I'm going to wait for the sun to come up just a little bit, just so I can get it just peeking through the branches of the tree. Maybe that will give me a nice sun star. Just a little bit. There we go. Beautiful. This lens has actually been really good for landscape photography. I mean, I know 35mm is usually sort of like, you know, street photography, a bit of architecture, some sort of environmental portraits and stuff, but I've been using it for landscape just to see what I can actually get out of it, and so far it's been really good. I'll be sad to see this go, actually. It's been a nice little prime lens. It's super lightweight, it just fits in the bag, no issue. I mean, as you can see, it fits on the end of the camera, and it's like tiny little thing. I was using a battery grip on this camera, but it just looks weird when you've got a tiny lens like this and a battery grip on, so I took the battery grip off. Right, and that wraps up the the landscape photography section. Whew, it's cold. Alright, next we're going to be in Hertford for the street photography section. Should be interesting. For those of you who don't know Hertford, it's like a little old English town. There's some really old looking buildings, sort of like, and there's the newer buildings, they all sort of blended together. It's really nice there. That's why I've chosen Hertford as the place to be, because we're still in lockdown, which means I can't actually go like London like I'd like to. London is the place I'd like to be right now, but it is what it is. We're still getting this work done, even though lockdown's on. I'm just happy snapping away. You can never have too many photos, unless you're out of memory in your memory card. You've got too many photos, but there's a Tesco just there, so if I do run out of memory, it's not the end of the world. Alright, yeah, that's good. That's good. Onwards and upwards. Alright, we've got coffee now, so that's a positive. I'm in Hertford, so time to get some photography done. Due to the run and gun nature, of street photography, I probably won't be filming too much as I'm going around. So what you're going to see next is probably just a montage of a few pictures I've taken. Because quite frankly, I'd need a second person here to film me the whole time if I was going to be doing that. So it's definitely going to be a case of, you see me now, you'll see me in a couple minutes. Alright, let's get to it because it's still cold. I've come off of the main high street now. I'm actually at Hertford Castle. It'd be rude not to shoot a couple of pictures of Hertford Castle while you're in Hertford. I've got a few shots, a few nice street shots. I found more waterfalls. I know waterfalls and water and just rivers in general is kind of my thing, but we're at a castle now. So that's going to be the next target for the camera. Let's get shooting. Right, that's me done in Hertford for now. I've got a few shots to show you. I've also going to throw in some I took in Harlow because they're a little bit more moody street rather than having the bright blue skies that I have here today. And I think the moodiness kind of suits the vibe in Harlow a little bit. So I'll be throwing those in the street photography section too. That does mean that the next section is going to be probably my favourite section, and that is the astrophotography section. I'm going to have to find a way to get myself over to my favourite location down the road. I've just got to wait for the moon to go away because otherwise it's going to ruin the shots. But as a street photography lens, this is pretty good. It's very inconspicuous. You've got a nice small setup here. People don't think this is a pro camera, even though it's a 42 megapixel beast of a camera. So they happily just let you snap away, thinking it's a little amateur's camera. So this setup, it works. If you want to take this out on the street, I reckon you can get some good shots. Probably better than I can get because I'm not a street photographer by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, so astrophotography next, eh? That should be fun. I'll see you there. And I'm gonna jump in here and say there's a slight change of plan. I couldn't get to where I needed to get to do the astrophotography thing, so I got 2 pictures at my local field. So instead, I've actually managed to get into London for some night photography, which I'm gonna just chuck it at the end of the street photography, and I'm going to just scrap the Astro and go London at night. So enjoy the montage, enjoy the pictures, and I'll see you for the verdict. So now you've seen all the video clips, you've seen the photos, and you've seen everything. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Personally, I think this lens, for the money you pay for this, is a cracking little lens. It's sharp. I mean, when I cropped in like over 200%, it was still sharp and clear, and that is not something you can say for many other lenses in this price point that are brand new. Honestly, I'm finding it hard not to recommend this lens given how cheap it is. It's lightweight, it's a solid construction. I mean, this thing lived on my camera for the last month. Okay, I had this for a month before I put the review up because I wanted to be sure of what I was going to say, and it's hard to find any negatives about it. I mean, I used it when I got it out of the box straight away, and the autofocus was a bit iffy, but I updated the firmware using the little USB-C firmware updater port there, and it worked perfectly afterwards for video, for photo, for everything. It just worked, and that's quite surprising because if you've used the old ones, you know they don't just work. They're noisy and they miss sometimes and they're slow. This one is silent, fast, and it just kept hitting time after time after time. I'm gonna run a video here of me doing the walk to and from the camera, then running to and from the camera, just so you can see how it actually performs. So, in conclusion, would I recommend this lens? Well, yeah, I would recommend this lens. I mean, good luck trying to find something that's brand new this price which performs this good. This will be staying in my camera bag, and I hope to be adding to it as well with Yongnuo's 85mm f1.8, and hopefully they release a super wide lens because that's more my style, but we'll see what the future holds. But anyway, I have been Gav from GavTakesPhotos.com. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to see more long form reviews like this, let me know in the comment section, and I'll just be releasing more normal videos from now on. Find me on Instagram at GavTakesPhotos, and obviously GavTakesPhotos.com, and I'll see you in the next one.